I have in my hand here a universal Panasonic TV replacement remote control. Basically the idea here is that you have your Panasonic TV and your remote is either been lost or damaged and you want to buy a remote control off the internet that'll arrive and just definitely work with your TV. So this particular remote control is available with low cost postal option, and the reason that it'll work directly for you is that all the codes for all Panasonic TVs have been programmed automatically into this. So we're covering the full spectrum of it. So you don't need to look up model numbers. Simply buy this remote control and it will work with your Panasonic TV. So I'm going to cover now exactly what you're going to receive when you order the product and how it's going to work, okay? What steps are needed to get it to work with your TV specifically. So this is the remote control. So it's a good robust remote, and it takes two AAA batteries here in the back. And you'll receive this information sheet here. So we've really tried to keep this simple, simply because it is so easy. So in the vast majority of cases, you put the batteries in, you have your TV remote turned on, and you try to change channels or turn the remote on and off, and you'll find that it works automatically. So that's the end of it. 10 seconds, you have it up and running, everything's perfect. Now, if you come along and that doesn't work for you, it's still not a big hassle to get it to work with your specific TV. So all you'll do is you're going to say to yourself, I want to come along and I want to train my remote control to work with my Panasonic TV. How am I going to do this? Well, there'll be a code that's specific to it, but instead of typing in codes, all you do is you come along, you press the blue and the red button, and you hold it in about 3 or 4 seconds. It'll flash twice. You release it then, and it knows I'm in programming mode. And what we do then is we just press down and hold down the power button. So what it'll do now is it'll send the code over to the television saying, I think you're this model number, please turn off. Doesn't turn off, it sends a new code 3 seconds later, and it keeps going through its reservoir of our database of codes. And eventually the TV in front of you turns off. You release it, it'll flash twice, and it's saying to itself, oh, I'm after turning off there, the television must be working. I know it's specifically this model of Panasonic TV. So by releasing the finger at that point off the power button, it actually has programmed this remote control up specifically for your TV. So also on the sheet here, and I'm just going to briefly mention this, we have 2 extra sections here. These generally aren't applicable to people, but I think I'll just mention them simply because they're there. Just say we come along, it's working your TV perfectly, everything's working great, but unfortunately there's a special functionality on your TV that just won't work. We'll take an example of, we'll say we want to bring up, we'll say a menu button or something like that, specifically to bring it up on the screen. Well, what you can do is you can say, all the buttons are working except for this one. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press it in the blue and the red button again. I'm going to wait for it to flash twice. And now I'm going to come along, I'm going to press the menu button, and I'm going to keep it held down. So once again, it's working through codes every 3 seconds, and eventually the menu comes up. You simply release your finger off the menu button, and it'll come along and it'll say, oh, it must be the right code for this one, and it'll say that's what I'm going to save into memory. And now all of a sudden your menu function on the remote will work automatically. The other alternative with this, and it's the final option, is you'd have a remote control here, which is the original remote. You put this up against it, you hold them against each other, and you can transfer signals over and back and train in particular buttons. You can look onto the thing there. It's basically the same step, but I'm not going to go through it in the video simply because nobody uses it. They just actually have it there simply because the technology is such now that you could do that, and I suppose it's a nice little cool feature to add on extrally. So what televisions do we have this for? Well, we have it for all the main ones. Obviously here we're talking specifically in Panasonic, but we have a separate remote control that's for Panasonic or LG or Philips, etc. like that, and they've proved to be hugely popular. Now the reason that it's advantageous for you as a customer to choose this remote control, well, the first thing is you can deal directly with Free TV, get the remote control, you don't need to pick a model number, all you say is, what's the make of my TV? Buy the remote and know it's going to work. That's the first big advantage. The second thing is it's cheaper. So buying a one-for-all remote that'll do the job perfectly for you is cheaper than buying an original directly from them. And the other thing is, on lots of brands of TV and things like that, because there's such a range, the Philips and that simply won't have it, or there's such hassle in finding specifically your model number without the S at the end of it or whatever like that. All that's taken away because now all that has been put in specifically into this remote control. So it's available with low cost postal option directly from freetv.ie.